Merci à tout le monde d'être avec nous en salle et à la maison un peu partout au Canada. I'm really happy to be doing this with the Sobey Art Foundation. Second year for me. Last year I was only a couple of weeks in, so it was all a bit of mad. But it was it became the first time around became apparent how important and meaningful and joyful this is. So I was looking forward to this all year. Really, really happy that this time has come around again. The works that we're going to see later today will be on view until April 6th, so a few months to discover, and the show really looks amazing. Since this whole thing started in 2002, the exhibition, the programming initiatives have really become a leading forum for talking through art across the country. And that's one of the things that I picked up on this morning with the artists in the green room before coming on stage is artists talking and people talking across provinces, across lines, and through art having really fun and interesting discussions. I think this is really meaningful for the whole country and allows us to discover Canada's most pertinent artistic voices. That is fantastic. L'exposition du prix Sobey 2024 met en lumière les pratiques dynamiques de chacun et chacune des finalistes, perlage, céramique, dessin, film expérimental, installation mixte, photographie et sculpture. Et vous allez voir dans l'exposition, il y a un fil conducteur. Les expositions fonctionnent vraiment très, très bien ensemble. Et c'est quelque chose qui n'est pas toujours le cas quand on choisit des artistes. On ne le sait pas, le jury ne sait pas ce que ça va donner au total, mais c'est vraiment impressionnant. J'ai été très, très, très personnellement très impressionné. Donc, félicitations à vous, à ces 6 artistes qui sont présentés, qu'on ouvre aujourd'hui. Takralik Partridge pour la région circumpolaire, Julie Chartrand pour la région Pacifique, Rain Vermette pour la région des Prairies, June Clark pour l'Ontario, Nico Williams pour le Québec, Mathieu Légère pour l'Atlantique. Félicitations. Quick, but yeah, I think we can clap. Vous avez peut-être remarqué, you might have noticed that this is the first year that we have the circumpolar region, so the 6th region, which is a huge addition to the prize, and I think an important one that couldn't come any sooner. This also brings up the whole value of the prize. So this year, it's $465,000 that will be given to artists directly through this prize, which is a huge, huge commitment on the part of the Sobey Foundation. And of that amount, $100,000 will be to the winner. Thank you. So I think having these national discussions and exhibiting artists from across the country and building these bridges is the foundation of who the National Gallery is and needs to be. It's extremely important for us to bring in artists from all across the country and for us to get outside of our walls and activate these artists across the country. And this is only possible through collaborative efforts with the Sobey Foundation and all of the other partners that we have across the country. And one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that as part of the shortlist prize for the artists, there is funds to activate to do community events in their home regions. So wherever you're tuning in from, keep an eye out because your regional shortlist artists will be doing something in your region as part of the Sobey Prize, which I think is also extremely meaningful. It's a huge pleasure to work with Rob Sobey and Bernard Doucet. Again, it's always an expected and highlight moment. But it's also a huge pleasure to work with the jury. Et pour la première fois cette année, le jury était composé de 6 artistes. Précédemment, c'était plutôt des commissaires, des conservateurs, des gens d'institutions. Et pour la première fois, c'est 6 artistes. Je pense que Jonathan va en parler un peu plus, mais c'est quelque chose qui a transformé la dynamique du prix et qui est, je pense, vraiment, vraiment intéressant. Le jury était présidé par Jonathan Shaughnessy, qui va pouvoir en parler. Donc, merci énormément, Jonathan. Immense gratitude goes out to all teams of the gallery as well. This is a big undertaking. It happens very fast every year because of the nature of the prize. So the artists know late, but we also know late. You have to keep in mind that producing an exhibition at the National Gallery requires multiple years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. This one has to happen in a couple of months. So thank you, everyone at the National Gallery that has worked on this, that has pulled it off yet again this year. It's huge. So the opening is tonight at 6 for anyone in the National Capital region. Show up at 6, or maybe even a bit before. There might be things happening a bit before 6. So come and join us. The artists will be here to talk with the public, to talk with everyone that shows up, and it would be a real pleasure to host you at the National Gallery tonight, 5-ish, 6-ish, for this very special night. And again, congratulations to the artist. And on that note, I will pass it on to I don't know who.
Oui, alors merci beaucoup Jean-François. Très heureuse maintenant d'inviter M. Bernard Doucet, directeur général de la Fondation Sobey pour les Arts, à prendre la parole.
Merci beaucoup Brittany et merci beaucoup Jean-François. Tout d'abord, je me présente, je suis Bernard Doucet de la Fondation Sobey pour les Arts. I'm here today with the chair of the Sobey Art Foundation, Mr. Rob Sobey, who has been our chair for over 14 years. And my role today is to express on Rob's behalf and on behalf of our board our collective gratitude for everyone who makes this process such a success for Canadian artists and for the Canadian art ecosystem. So first of all, I'd like to once again underline and congratulate all of the artists here today exhibiting in the National Gallery of Canada for the next several months, for being a part of this process, for committing your work to this exhibition, and we sincerely hope that this is a fulfilling career experience for you. I'd also like to thank, on our collective behalf, all of the artists who were long-listed this year, who have been long-listed and short-listed every year for the last 22 years, and in fact, every person who's been nominated for this process. The process was conceived for you, and we hope that it's in service to you, and we look forward every year to hearing from you about how we can improve this process. Improvements have happened over the years, such as, finally, after many years of discussion, the addition, or the inclusion, I should say, of a 6th region, circumpolar. We're particularly proud of that this year. So we hope that you all enjoy your time today. You enjoy the process. We know that you're in very good hands in Jean-François' team, and we're very grateful and beholden to you for that. And I'd finally like to thank, another group, which is the Canadian media, those here today and online, and all of those members of the media who have engaged with this process for the last 22 years. You've not just engaged with this process, you've made time and space in media platforms where I'm sure you've had to fight for space to talk about contemporary art in a market that, loves sports and all kinds of other things. This has been part of what we've hoped to achieve, is to have a more heightened dialogue across the Canadian public, not just people who are predisposed to coming to museums, but those people whose lives can be made more rich by engaging with the work of artists such as those here today. So thank you for supporting these artists with the space that you afford them, because it really is meaningful. So, merci.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Doucet. Et je veux faire écho à vos remerciements aux journalistes de partout au Canada. Merci infiniment. Merci de vous être déplacés aussi aujourd'hui. Alors, maintenant, j'ai le plaisir, I'm pleased to introduce you to Jonathan Shaughnessy, Director of Curatorial Initiative and Chair of the Jury, to say a few words.
Merci. Merci, Brittany. Merci, Bernard. I'm getting used to following you in these speeches. You're always eloquent words, so there we are. Sets the bar, thank you. So I'm thrilled to speak to you here this morning in my capacity as jury chair for the 2024 Sobey Art Award, and to honor the incredible work that has taken shape on behalf of the finalists for this year's award and the entire team at the gallery who makes this exhibition possible. So I'll take a moment to introduce and thank the curatorial team. Consists, and they're present with us this morning, Stephanie Birdsey, Assistant Curator, Contemporary Art, Ulipika Igisiak, a Curatorial Assistant, Indigenous Ways and Decolonization, Jasmine Inglis, Assistant Curator, Contemporary Art and Photography, and also acknowledge the dedicated support of Andrew Kennard, Senior Curator, Photographs, and my colleague, Michelle Lavallee, Director, Indigenous Ways and Curatorial Initiatives. Thank you so much for your work. Et puis sur le plan logistique, nous sommes toujours reconnaissants des efforts d'Olympia Lombardi, toujours ici aussi ce matin, gestionnaire des expositions, et de Livia Dudnik, agent des expositions. Merci à Katja Canini. Katja Canini, on va se rencontrer bientôt, éducatrice pour son travail de coordination des vidéos des artistes Sobey. C'est toujours quelque chose de très, très impressionnant, des vidéos qui sont faites chaque année, et de programmation d'engagement national Sobey dont Jean-François a parlé, ainsi qu'à Stéphane Canuel, le designer principal, qui a fait un travail exceptionnel, je pense vraiment exceptionnel cette année pour la conception des espaces et bien équilibré pour abriter les incroyables œuvres d'art exposées. Aussi une immense note d'appréciation aux équipes des services techniques. Je pense que les artistes ont travaillé très, worked very closely with our technical services team this week, ainsi que la gestion des installations et de la planification pour votre immense travail. A huge acknowledgement as well to the teams in publications, public affairs and marketing, visitor experience, finance and security, and from all corners of the gallery, I say sort of front of house, back of house, who have worked so diligently to bring the 2024 Sobey Art Award to life through this exhibition. Jean-François mentioned it, but it's a short one, Ray, and it really does take so many who are here and aren't here that bring these shows together. So this year, the award has been driven by a jury of 6 artists who are all former Sobey Art Award alumni. Very excited for this. Asiniak, Jeremy Shaw, Divya Mehra, Stephanie Comelang, Caroline Monet, and Mario Doucette. As well as an international juror, Zoe Whitley, who is the Executive Director of Chisenhale Gallery in London, England. The award process has resulted in deeply thoughtful conversations and reflections. These exchanges are encapsulated in the publication. I meant to bring it, but I think some have it, and I know you'll all have it. They'll be in the exhibition, and which contains, it's a bit new also this year, peer-to-peer conversations. So thank you also to the artists for engaging in this dialogue. Traditionally, these catalogs have been, and will in the future, have curatorial essays on each of the artists. This year, we chose a format of a sort of dialogue and exchange. What was set to print is only a caption of the many conversations that were had between jury and artists, and I trust there'll be other ways that this information is circulated through other channels. So thank you immensely to the jury for 2024. To Rob Sobey, Bernard Doucet, and the board of the Sobey Art Foundation, thank you for your commitment to the visual arts in this country. I can only add to what Jean-François has already said, and in my experience only deepens through the unique changes that take shape in each iteration of the award. I think we see that, and I think too in proposing an artist jury, it was also to think about the way that the Sobey Art, over what 20 some years, has engaged in what would bring concrete material support to the art infrastructure of this country, directly into the careers of artists. So finally, my congratulations to each of this year's shortlisted artists. It's your work and vision we celebrate here today, and I'm excited. I think we're momentarily turning the stage over to you. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Merci beaucoup. Je vais vous inviter, messieurs, à rejoindre vos sièges. So let's have an applause, a warm applause for this year shortlisted Sobey Art Award artists. Thank you so much. So I now invite Michelle Lavallee, Director, Indigenous Ways and Curatorial Initiatives, and Jonathan Shaughnessy to give you a brief overview of each of the artists' installation.
So, Ani Bojo, everybody. I'm here to introduce 4 of the artists. To my left here, while she is not the first Inuk to be recognized by a Sobey Award, she is the first artist to be representing the circumpolar region. Originally from Kuujjuaq, Nunavut, and currently based in Ottawa, Inuk and Scottish artist Takerlik Partridge works in many modes of expression as a curator, writer, spoken word poet, and visual artist. Her work focuses on Inuit life experiences, both in the north and in southern urban centers. Regaining, continuing, and sharing cultural knowledge and language, her selection of materials and imagery are specific as they are poignant, often reflected in the everyday, but imbued with ancestral resonance. Posing questions about what is happening in the world, her work reminds us that there are multiple ways of seeing, feeling, and thinking. An Amati design from her community and the accompanying audio and video evoke the sensation of being surrounded by caribou, expressing the intergenerational importance of the caribou to Inuit and other Arctic indigenous peoples, but an experience impacted by colonialism, capitalism, and climate change. Representing the Pacific region, Judy Chartrand, based in Vancouver, is of Manitoba Cree heritage. Throughout her career, she has fearlessly advocated against ongoing oppression and socioeconomic inequity of First Nations populations, in particular those who live in the notoriously disadvantaged urban corridor of Vancouver's downtown east side where she grew up. Employing a mixed media approach as a vehicle for her political activism, Judy's beautiful and provocative works expose and confront colonial narratives and urgent issues of racism, stereotypes, ignorance, and privilege. Flipping the script, using humor, satire, and pop culture imagery to speak truth to power, as her thought-provoking ceramic work can be equally disconcerting as they are polished and inviting. Depictions of urban Indigenous experience of poverty, violence, and discrimination, and of the children forced to attend Canadian residential schools, pain and anger emanate alongside strength and resilience. Every piece has a story and is meant to inspire dialogue. Rain Vermette, representing the Prairies region, is a Métis image maker and storyteller. Her work emphasizes an interruption of image through collage, photography, and analog filmmaking. Images coalesce, informing themes of place, movement, and rhythm, which are expressed through layers of fiction, animation, reenactments, and divine interruption. Architecture and cinema are foundational references. Through her moving images, though your moving images divert from convention and standard narrative arcs. Her approach to capturing images channels the materiality of film, drawing attention to otherwise unseen views through natural and constructed frameworks. Combining documentary and fiction to create dreamlike effects, Le Miracle à Sainte-Anne is a segment from her atmospheric first feature-length film, Sainte-Anne, in 2021. It's a collaborative project in Treaty 1 territory. Through multi-layered storytelling, Rain politically includes themes such as familial tensions, memory, home, and identity.
Thanks, Michelle. I'll pick it up for the Ontario region and introduce June Clark. June Clark's multidisciplinary practice explores the intersection of family history, recollection, and identity. Her autobiographical works reflect on her childhood in Harlem and her move to Toronto as a young woman. She is a storyteller, conveying the sentiment and feeling of a moment in time through thought-provoking works that offer a snapshot into her extensive memories. 2191 Reprise combines Xerox photo transfers and graphite stenciled texts, recalling incidents in Clark's childhood living at 2191 8th Avenue in Harlem. The images emerge and recede, eloquently illustrating the elusive nature of memory. While Clark's work expresses her personal experiences, viewers can recognize and contemplate the shared values of community. Referencing people of personal and public significance, her sculpture Critical History asserts that at the most rudimentary level, race should not be reduced to, quote, a theory or abstraction, and cannot and should not be separated from history.
And representing the Quebec region, Nico Williams is a member of Anishinaabe Amjiwinang First Nation and is based in Montreal, Jajagé. Drawing upon rich histories of intergenerational practices, beading forms the basis of the sophisticated, often collaborative and iterative practice of his jaw-dropping sculptural installations. What radiates from the work is a profound understanding and appreciation for what has come before, even as he takes beadwork in never-before-seen directions. Bead by bead, he explores memories, nostalgic moments, and encounters with found objects, incorporating historical and political narratives, cultural observations, and connections to kinship and place. They are as educational and political as they are sometimes humorous and inspirational. Ever familiar construction fences in Montreal, caution tape from the metro station, flyers floating through the streets, or an oily rag on the side of a bucket, these sculptures are layered in narratives which question access to space and draw attention to the transformation of Indigenous lands through construction and urbanization.
Avec la région de l'Atlantique, je suis ravi d'introduire Mathieu Légère. Influencé par son éducation dans la communauté de Sainte-Marie-de-Kent, au Nouveau-Brunswick, Mathieu Légère explore son héritage acadien tout en s'engageant dans divers contextes mondiaux à travers ses nombreux voyages, parmi, je pense, les dernières 20 ans, 25 ans, et sa participation à des résidences artistiques. Sa présentation ici reflète des années d'études intensives de la dextérité rythmique et de la conscience spatiale du corps. Inspiré par son ancêtre Jacques Légère, soldat, batteur et musicien militaire de la musique d'ordonnance, premier Légère arrivé de France ici vers 1680, les membres et la batterie de l'artiste s'imposent comme ses principaux instruments de dessin. Ensemble, les archives de performance qui en résultent proposent l'artiste au-delà de son dévouement de plusieurs décennies à la pratique délibérée de la musique, en explorant comment la génétique, la biologie, l'histoire et la culture pourraient incuber un engagement à vie dans le travail artistique.
Okay, we do have a question for Takralik from Sav Jansa from APTN, who's asking, Takralik, how does it feel to be the first artist to represent the circumpolar region?
How does it feel?
You don't need to.
Surprise is the one word, I think. Just, I'm surprised and shocked. But other than that, I'm just so honored. I see my work as part of the contemporary Inuit art movement. Inuit art is just kicking. And I'm just blown away that I get to be part of it with all these other amazing artists. So, nakop sachungo.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. Yves Bergeras from Le Droit is asking if you consulted each other to develop your installation for this exhibition, or if you worked alone on your side. To Yves.
I was the first to install, so I didn't see anything.
Okay, I think Yves was thinking of how, when you conceived the installation, the work that is on view, did you consult each other or not? You work separately in your studios and.
Well, yeah, we worked with curators from the National Gallery, and we started to develop how we could curate our work into the space. And I was like just getting a little few sneak peeks in the back here when we were going through each introduction of each artist, because I was like, oh, that installation looks so great. And I'm so happy to be showing with all of you. The work looks incredible from what I was able to see like that way. So we didn't really work together, but we worked with the gallery and wonderful curators in the space.
It's just incredible. So sorry that we seem sort of reticent, but we're trying to take it all in, that's all. From the staff at the NGC, from everything. Sorry to be late saying this, but I guess maybe I'm just waking up. I don't know.
So thank you.